Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Inner Insights podcast. I'm your host, Dara Stewart, and I'm really excited for this episode today. In front of me here, I have Robbie Griffin, a man I admire doing such beautiful and profound work in this world for men and women. Welcome to the podcast, Robbie.
Thank you, Dara. Absolute pleasure to be here with you.
Robbie, we've graced a bunch of spaces and trainings together the last few years. And you're a man that really inspires me with the work you do in the transformational spaces, helping so many people come back to themselves, and particularly around soul initiation. Before we start, I just want to say I really appreciate the work that you do, what you stand for, and it's a real honor to have you here on the podcast. And I feel a lot of people are going to get some deep and beautiful insights from this conversation.
Thank you, Dara. I'm drinking that in, and really appreciated our connection when we've met in these spaces and those moments of magic, deep transformation that we've shared together. So when you invite me on here, it was a full body yes to me to get to come here and have a good chat with you. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Robbie. Yeah, such a deep pleasure. And how are you doing in your life right now? What's really alive for you? What's potent for you at this moment in time?
Thank you. So I am in Lisbon right now, and I am treating myself to some downtime, much needed. I had a huge year, 2024, and it was really kind of a January to December year. And although I was still energized by the end, I appreciate the importance of slowing down, composting, integrating what was, and giving myself a chance to really resource myself so I can fully turn up in these spaces. So for the last 10 weeks, I've been here, slept in the same bed every night, simple pleasures, and haven't had a flight anywhere. And you've caught me just at the end. I've deliberately put quite a few sort of podcasts at the end of this time to give myself as much space. And as of Sunday, I fly to Berlin and then on to London, and the tour continues. So for right now, I'm in the sunshine of Lisbon, feeling resourced, and very happy to be here on the call with you.
Amazing, Robbie. It's great to hear that. When we were chatting there the other day, it's kind of like a bit of a luxury for us as international facilitators, getting to root and ground and be in one space at a time. And I think it's so important to have that restoration and recalibration. So I'm delighted that you have that, and I'm sure it's going to be a full power year ahead for you.
Yeah, you and me both, brother. I really appreciate this time, and it just gives me more enthusiasm, more life to come into these spaces. And also it's a chance I've been kind of studying or getting into different mythology and poetry and pieces that I want to bring. So by having this space and having this time to dig deep within myself and with different mythology, then the material's fresh and new and revitalized.
Amazing. And it's so important to have that energy going forward. We can only work from when our cup is full, really. So Robbie, I'd love to hear a little bit about what was your kind of path into the work that you currently facilitate and hold into the world. I know the spaces we've been in, it's never quite linear. So I'd love to hear a little bit about maybe some of the ebbs and flows and the journey to where you are now.
Sure. It's a big question, and I'll try and be as succinct as possible. And there's often different tracks that come through. So I trust whatever wants to come through in this meet. So I am English, and we are renowned for our stiff upper lip and maybe some emotional suppression. And that was very true of my family of origin as well. Things weren't talked about, they're brushed underneath the carpet. There was lots of alcohol and partying, and I picked up that imprint and started drinking very young and partying and drugs, and spent some summers in Ibiza and my winters somehow getting through a degree at university, Leeds University, headed off to Australia just after the economic crisis, 2009. And long story short, I managed to create myself some success. I had a successful business, money in the bank. I had a property portfolio. I had a sports car, a beautiful partner. I thought I was living the dream. And I had this kind of figure I wanted to get to. And when I get there, everything's going to be amazing. Everything's going to be great. I'm going to be happy. And I got there. And nothing shifted in my inner worlds. And I kind of panicked and thought, okay, next figure. And I got there very quickly, within a year. And like the dream I've been promised, my Western capitalistic, consumeristic upbringing, it's like, once I get this thing, then everything's going to be okay. In hindsight, it's laughable, but that was my blinkered vision. That's what I knew. And that's what got modeled to me. And that's what I got told. And so I got to this figure and it did shift. And there was a huge breakthrough, but not the one I thought I was going to get. Yeah, it was a rude awakening. And it was really a huge realization that no amount of external gratification is going to make me happy, which was the catalyst for my transformation. I was in a corporate job in recruitment in Sydney at the time and watching my summers go by out the window, these sunny days of Sydney and like in the office. And it was like, what the fuck am I doing? So fortunately, with a bit of money behind me, I like took this leap of faith of like what to do. And I really didn't know. So I felt very lost at that point. Everything I thought I wanted, everything I built up came crashing down. And I knew I wanted to support people and be of service in some way. And I was very much into sport and training. So I did a personal training certificate and I started down that track. I was like, okay, well, that's a start. You know, I can help some people and something I'm passionate about. And within a very short period of time, within a year or so, I realized that it wasn't so much to do with the personal training, it was to do with the mindset. So I got into neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, and it became like that mindset. And it was huge for me. It really transformed myself because I felt misunderstood a lot. I wasn't very good at communicating because of the upbringing I had. I didn't know how to express myself. I didn't really have access to that. I couldn't really label them and then be able to ask for my needs. So it was a real relearning for myself. And I'm very grateful for that because it made a huge shift in my life. I could then support other people. I then found myself 2018 or so. I'm not very good at timelines, so I'm going to try and drop them. But around October, I think 2018, at my first ISTA, International School of Temple Arts, and that was the most transformative week of my life. It's such a poignant training. It's so profound. And yeah, I thought I was kind of on this path and doing the work, and that was a huge.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. You know, you've been so you get it. So very grateful for that. And then when I was at ISTA, there was this talk of Haydn Temple because I did my ISTAs in Melbourne. I did all three of them within 6 months, like level 1, 2, and 3. I was like fully in. I was like, yes, this is the rapid transformation and evolution that I've been longing for. While I was there, I heard about Haydn, and then within 6 months of that, I was at Haydn Temple, which is a 6-week soul initiation. And yeah, I mean, the ISTA for a week, but this for 6 weeks where I'm in community, I'm getting witnessed, I'm getting mirrored. It's really around the authentic expression, these powerful reflections, shadow work. It shaped me to pieces. I cracked open and I was kind of thought I was done after one. I was like, that's it, I'm done. And then interestingly, the week after, I was waiting for my partner to come over and I stayed in the community for a week and they kept on doing the circling up every day, kept on going into the journeys, going into the different energies. And that's when I realized, wow, this isn't just a 6-week experience. This is a different way of being, a different culture wanting to land. And that's when I was like, oh, really enlivened by it. I said, okay, I'm going to come back. I came back and was in the outer field supporting, and then they asked me to come and facilitate. So the journey continued. Then we had COVID. So I was there for another. So I ended up being 18 months there, which was just huge and really grateful for that time. Took a long time to really deeply integrate it. But it was, incredible for my own transformation. And then from that, I came back to Europe after 15 years away. So I came back to Europe, and it was after COVID, and Europe really embraced me with open arms. I came back and I landed, and I thought I'm going to land with a level 2 ISTA. It's around soul initiation, coming back and landing with the land. And I was in Greece. And within a week of that, they'd asked me to organise ISTA UK, and also I started Emergence Brotherhood with Don Brary and Nemanja. So it was a full, yes, you're in the right place, welcome home. I've gone away, done a lot of work, completely transformed myself, because I was very lost when I went away. And I had a lot of resistance to move back to England as well, and I'm still kind of in a dance with it. The winter's very, very bleak, to say the least. But I am falling in love with the land again, and I'm falling in love with the people. I'm falling in love with our conditioning and like seeing it for what it is, instead of making it wrong and pushing away from it. I'm embracing it a lot more, which is really me embracing my roots as well, and coming to terms with my experience and learning to really work with what has happened rather than trying to pull myself away from it. Yeah, there's a little synopsis. I could go in many different ways, but that's what we wanted to come through this time.
Wow, beautiful, Robbie. Thanks so much for really going into that. It's like, it's really hard to put probably like 5 years of profound transformational growth into a short synopsis, but there's many different avenues there we could potentially go down. But one of the things that really inspires me about you is this kind of notion of, like, a lot of people go away and they do transformational work, and it can be, somewhat easier sometimes, I think, to kind of like jump out of your culture, because you're not faced with your own cultural conditioning and your transgenerational pain and suffering, and the all the stuff of your culture and your lineage ultimately. But what I really love about you is that you came back and you landed that work in your home country of origin. And UK, Ireland, very similar in a lot of our culture and conditioning, and it's challenging and it's difficult, and I really love how you really rose that challenge, and you're back with your own people, and you're offering this years of experience and work with them. So yeah, I just want to honor that in you. I think it's beautiful. And then a kind of another point that I find is very potent for a lot of the work I do is, a lot of people are in these offices, they're in these jobs, and they have this kind of pull and draw to something different. They want to grace a transformational space. They want to go on a retreat. They want to go on a training. But it sounds like you had the courage to do that. What would you kind of say to people who are at that point in their life where they're looking out the window and they're like, wow, life is going by? What would you say to those people?
Jump. Not out the window, but jump towards it. Yeah, I mean, it's terrifying. So I say it flippantly, but I can really remember what it was like. The insecurity that came up to me because of the security of my job, because of security of money, because of security of my people, all these things that I knew for 30 years. And what I got told was okay, what I got told I should be doing, what was important according to what was told to me, the imprints I was given. So to go against that, to rub against the grain of culture and of, as you say, generational beliefs, takes a lot of courage. And it's not for everyone. I really don't want to make it out like, oh, if you're doing something which, some office job, no, it's cool. It's like, well, people know. And that's the thing. I knew that it wasn't satisfying. I didn't know what I wanted or how to get there. And that's really where the courage comes in. Because until I give space to that and start to explore something else, then it's never got enough energy to really germinate. So that's, the step into the unknown. That's why I kind of flippantly say jump, because we don't really know what we're jumping into. But what I can say is the connection it's brought to myself and the life that it's now brought me, with all its challenges still, it's not like, oh, it's now easy. Far from it. I'm not choosing an easy path. But it does deeply nourish me and allows a deeper connection to myself, my own expression, my own essence, my playfulness, my freedom. Whereas before I was really quite caged and shut down. I didn't know that.
Mm.
But come to the weekend or a party or something, and then, this other part would come out. But now I don't need that. I actually prefer my company when I haven't been drinking. I enjoy the connection I can foster with people when I'm vulnerable authentically, not with a bit of Dutch courage. So it just feels more nourishing to me. It feels more authentic and feels more raw.
Yeah, like
Just one more piece, actually, because I've just had a flashback of how it was when I stepped out of my friends, my circles. I felt socially inept to start off with, because I was like, all my vices and all the things that I used to do to like create the bond and the connection were taken away. So now I was like, oh wow, now it's kind of just me. And I'm like, who am I? Like, who am I without this mask and this these vices and these kind of friendship, these things that I bonded my friends about, which weren't necessarily that healthy in hindsight. It's like, oh, actually, yeah, they're what I knew and what I got modeled from a very young age, but there's other ways.
Yeah, I totally resonate with that. And even on my own journey, when I was working as a scientist, I kind of had Dara Monday to Friday, and then I had, Dara on the weekend. So I had science Dara during the week, and then I had kind of more shamanic, psychedelic Dara on the weekend. And it was really these two roads in front of me. And for me, I had that call and that urge to go that route. And you kind of said that point there, the easy path is actually the hard path. But as one of my teachers said, the if you take the hard path, it becomes easy in the future, because you're not going against your own kind of current, so to speak. No, beautiful. And yeah, if there is anybody out there, take that jump, go for it. You're only jumping closer to yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I love what your teacher said, because it's the change that's the hard bit. It's like, oh, okay, shift. That's the hard bit, and then it does become easier, and it does become deeply nourishing. And I think that's a difference for myself and for people I work with. Is a lot of us have been through the trenches, have been through a lot of really challenging experiences, and really seeing the gifts in those. It's not easy. When I first stepped into this, the first 5-6 years, I was in a swamp and I felt like I was kind of drowning. I was like, God, there's more. And it just kept on going and going. And it's like, wow, when's this going to end? And then suddenly the fruits of the labor started to come through and a bit more evident. And I felt more empowered and I felt clearer. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, this is making a difference. This is making an impact. And then, the road then because it's that, it's that hard to start off with and it gets easier quicker. So, yeah, for me, it's really important that we bring ourselves, bring our wounds, bring our, where we're bleeding, because I think that's where the wisdom really lies. I trust that our souls have chosen our vessel in, me, my Englishness, you and your Irishness, and your family, and all those experiences we've had along the way. It's like, those are the fate. It's kind of a blueprint that's going to happen on our path. And our destiny is how we can work with that, how we can weave with the experiences, and what we can transmute, what we can transfigure from those experiences to allow a deeper connection to myself and my rawness, my realness, my flaws, to allow. And it's such a beautiful thing because I put up so many masks for most of my life. For those first 30 years, I was like, how I want to be seen, or how I think people want to see me. And it's exhausting and it's inauthentic. And my connections couldn't have the depth because I wasn't bringing myself. Yeah, so there's a longing to break through the conditioning of how I want to be seen, and meet deeper parts of myself so I can meet people from that place.
Mm, yeah, I find that so resonant, this kind of idea of so many people are walking around with masks on and trying to put on a persona of who they think they should be or how they want to be perceived. And I really feel that that's exhausting for people. And it gets to a point where either people become so anxious or so depressed or so distracted or have incredible suffering that, you know, one of two things needs to happen. One, they end up going down a bad mental health route, or the other is they take that leap of faith into something more. And I really feel like so many people I meet these days are kind of questioning those blueprints that we've been given. And especially as men, and this is a point I'd love to touch on with your work, so many men think they should be a certain way and have these kind of non-virtuous role models, let's put it that way, and kind of shadowy leaders in the world. Um, you do a lot of work with men with Emergence Brotherhood. What do you really feel is important for men when they're stepping out into their journey of the self-discovery, becoming more authentic, soul initiation?
Mm. Yeah, I feel like these masks that we've touched on there, and this perception of how I want to be seen, is what's in the very way of the deeper connection. And it's creating shame. I know that I had a lot of shame in my being. The reason I was picking up these masks is because I was hiding parts of myself. So I create stories to avoid exposing my truth. And now the very core of the work I'm doing, and I want to have a disclaimer, is that my masks come up all the time and I'm still far from cracked this, like I don't want to sound like I'm preaching at all. It's just I'm aware that this happens and I'm working through the layers still. And I'm working, like, it happens every day. I'm getting humbled. The universe has got another lesson for me, another way of whipping my feet from underneath me, pick me on my knees. And this is the difference at Emergence maybe than from some other, is that when I'm leading it, I'm bringing myself forward and I'm really cracking with the brothers and modeling it and giving real permission to bring ourselves fully into the container. So the shame, it's the secrets that keep us sick, that keep us separate from each other. And it breaks my heart when I think of the number of brothers that I've lost, that have taken their own lives because they haven't had spaces like this to really bring themselves forward. So I'm really grateful for finding these spaces myself to be able to bring myself forward. And when I first came into like the sharing circle culture, I was terrified. It's like so awkward in my body. It still comes up now. I'm not going to lie to you at times, I'm like, oh, it's a big one. How can I bring it? And so it's not easy, especially when it was so ingrained in my being, from my upbringing, not to really reveal myself, not to really expose how I'm feeling or my truth or things that I've done and it's create separation, because when I have brought myself, I'm met with open arms because I'm really allowing myself to be seen. And the gift that other brothers get when they are finding this courage to bring themselves forward, and they do get seen, because there's a deep longing to be seen, to be met. And this superficial mask that we all have habits of putting up won't fulfill that. Yeah, you might be seen in the glory of a moment if you've done something that you're proud of. And also, let's bring it in when we've things we're not so proud of, things that are getting in the way of relationships. So we work a lot with conflict and shadow work as well, because the shadow holds so much power. The thing that I'm scared of sharing with other people, the thing that I'm repressing, suppressing, that doesn't want to come to the light, it holds so much power. It's exhausting to hide it. So to bring it forward, and this is what we hold at the heart of Emergence Brotherhood, is wholeness. So we really go on a journey incorporating and exploring a real vast variety of energies to allow us to really reclaim the parts that maybe have fractured off growing up. Because this is how I see, in more of a shamanic kind of trauma lens, is parts that it's become too much, or it's too soon, too fast, or not enough for too long, have kind of separated off. And maybe they're frozen, or maybe maybe there's something we can do to support them to come back in by giving them love, giving them care, knowing that we got the capacity in our nervous system now to work through these experiences. Yeah, and doing it together in a group field with other men is really powerful. We all, I won't say all of us, many of us got told things when we're growing up like, don't be a girl and respect women. The two messages which are very conflicting as well. Bit of an oxymoron. How can we do one without the other? So, but the message I heard very clearly is don't be a girl. So I would do anything to not, to be vulnerable. I saw a lot of like emotions as feminine traits, or as being like a girl. So I avoided it. I repressed it. I suppressed it. I pushed it down. And now I can see the strength it takes to be vulnerable. That's real courage. That's real authenticity. And that's something I really admire in any human being, male, female, to have the courage to pour my heart, crack open. And that really supports these parts that maybe been fractured off to be welcomed back in. It's part of me. And as we do this, as we kind of reclaim our wholeness, then who am I then? Like, what is the expression that's, in this case, Robbie Griffin, that wants to come through when I am comfortable being all my parts? Like, that excites me. What's my unique genius that can come through when I've really embraced myself? And I believe that we have this unique genius from our soul, from our journey. And a lot of the journey is actually pulling back the pieces of our experiences from our fate to allow our destiny to unfold, to see what our greatness is in this world. And how can I really be of service to people?
Beautiful. I love that. So alive. And yeah, I love this idea of, soul retrieval, reclaiming the parts of ourselves, shadow work. And, I think it's quite a big topic. And, IFS, internal family systems, is used quite a lot these days and becoming very popular. I think we're really at a point now in our kind of human evolution of becoming more integrated. And I love that with men's work, this vulnerability allows us to access these repressed parts, these suppressed parts, and the parts of ourselves that, there's also gold hidden there, or traits that are, expressive and artistic and incredible. And then there's also the more negative and difficult parts, the shameful parts. And yeah, this idea of shame in the men's space, I'm inherently bad, or there's something inherently bad with me, can create such profound transformation when acknowledged and when worked with. What are some of the practices maybe around shame to help, men and women start to uncover the parts of themselves that they've rejected or shied away from?
Thank you. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, if it's shared, it shifts from shame. It's not so easy a lot of the time, but it is something that we hold as an intention, as like a North Star for the work that I do. Is like, you're welcome to bring these parts and bring them at your own speed. It's not like a pressure. You need to find the thing that you speak the unspoken, bring the thing that you haven't shared with anyone before. This is the moment. It's like, that's an option and celebrated. And knowing that these parts are very tender often. And yeah, the ego is there to protect us. It's doing the best it can for us. It's there to protect. So often there needs to be some sweetness when working with these parts, some kindness, allowing them to slowly feel safe to bring themselves forward. Yeah. And yeah, there's a lot of life and a lot of energy that can be. Often we work with shame, and we'll have a circle at some points, and we'll share. And your thought going through this sticky, icky stuff that was like, oh, the shame, this thing that I don't really want to share, might be exhausting or like depleting. And often we'll ask afterwards, how's people's energy level after the circle? Put your hand up high if it's really high, 10 out of 10. Put your hand down low, and most of the time people are like 7, 8, 9. Often the people that really shared something strong are very high because of the amount of energy it's released. Unburdening our soul, releasing this piece from around our heart. It's like another wall. It's like another layer. We're de-armoring when we can find our truth and we can find the courage to be witnessed by other people. And this is the beauty of doing this with other men. We act differently around female bodies, and I'm sure female bodies act differently around male bodies. And men, although we've all had different experiences growing up, often share some programming, conditioning. So what I found is with the contrasexual self, Carl Jung talks around the anima, which is the feminine traits, the underexpressed parts in the male body, and the animus is the opposite, it's the underexpressed male traits in the female body. So with the anima, there's this part of our feminine or our emotions which is really underdeveloped, especially like our maiden kind of archetype. So when my maiden first came out, and often so going back a bit, when I was in a relationship, my partner would say, I want to feel more of your emotion. I want more kind of from you. I'm like, oh, I'm doing my best. I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm like, this is it. What are you on about? Not knowing anymore. And then she kind of pops up a little bit and she feels safe to kind of bring herself. She's been ushered forward by my partner. It's like an act of love to call her forth, and she comes up, and then my partner kind of, her animus kicks in, so her underdeveloped masculine. And the one thing they tell us, it's the first lesson in like the conscious path, is like, don't try and fix me. I just need to express, And then she slips into her fixing because that part's underdeveloped, and we've kind of, we're doing this unintegrated dance of our contrasexual self. So by doing this with other men, it's beautiful to be witnessed and to have this shared experience, and also collapsing a lot of the conditioning that around other men, around the way you've got to be, this kind of false bravado. And I know I said a lot of it myself. I was involved a lot with sport, as I mentioned. So there was this kind of banter that was said, which I wasn't conscious. It was just imprinted. And that was like, okay, that's the way we are around other men, and that's what you do. And it's really detrimental to many parts within. So yeah, this longing that we hold at emergence is around wholeness. So we work a lot with polarity, and I'm talking about inner polarity. So an inner union is, again, like our North Star. So that includes consciousness and more matter, like our animal body, and also masculine and feminine. So a lot of the time, one of the tragedies of religion in our attempt to make us more spiritual has made us less animal.
Oh.
So there's a lot of this energy's been shown as bad, been seen as less than, the sins of the flesh, repressed, suppressed, and there's a lot of energy there. Especially in our conscious kind of worlds, it's kind of like a lot of people go towards the light and like, and the thing is, we're not just animals. The thing is, we're not like, we are animals, and we're not just enlightened human beings. So we hold both these parts. And in fact, a signature of how far you are along the path to your soul initiation is your capacity to integrate the height of your divinity in the depths of your humanity. So we have this consciousness and more kind of dark body or animal masculine, feminine, and ideally, I know I was very masculine. So I've been working a lot with my feminine, and people ask me, they see much more healthy, integrated masculine. How do I become more masculine? It's like, work with the feminine, because instead of outsourcing a lot of this feminine energy, and this is what happens in relationships a lot, which is amazing. It can be really hot, and this kind of phrase of "you complete me," really. You mentioned at the very start, if cup's full, really I want to complete myself, and then from
Mm,
that place meet someone else.
beautiful.
So the beauty of this work is by going on the soul initiation, which is allowing all parts of ourselves to be integrated and to be welcomed, to be loved, to come back in, including the feminine, including the animal body, like getting through the stuff that's in the way around emotions, around shame. And then once we've kind of gone through that, we can then even think, then how can I be of service? How can I be of my sole purpose and be, of greater good to the world?
No, I love that, Robbie. So articulately put. And, I think what rings true for me is it's like this holistic journey. It's not
Mm,
just the love and light, the ascension path, which I think a lot of people who move into the spiritual space, that's what they first go towards, because maybe
mm,
that's what's maybe easiest and what the West knows best. It's very like head up, it's like it's easy to go to a talk therapist once a week and intellectualize and talk it all out. But it's very difficult to descend into the body and to feel, to get into the root, to get into the sexual center, to get into the heart, to get into the core. And I really feel that that's probably one of the biggest journeys I think now we have in men's work is from the head to the heart to the sex, and reclaiming our power and our sovereignty around those parts. And I love how you've weaved in a little bit of the archetypes that, what really draws a lot of men to men's work is, the king, the warrior, the magician, lover. They hear about these things and they're like, oh, wow, this is it. But there's also the feminine archetypes, and we have to acknowledge the feminine in the men's work and in human work. It has to have this polarity, like you said. And then I love when we get to the space where we can collapse those polarities.
mm. Yeah, beautiful. I mean, the soul knows no gender. And by getting stuck in this polarization, it's kind of reenacting the same problems that we're seeing in society. So the longing is, instead of polarizing and outsourcing those traits, is to find it within myself. And some of the best transmissions I've had are from my partners. When I started consciously relating, for many years I wasn't, and I was just attracting in the same sort of people to work through my mother wounds again and again. And then when it landed and I started on this path, and I noticed the traits that brought aliveness to me and my partner. And instead of being like, oh, attracted to them, I was just like, oh, thank you. And drunk them in. So one, we could have a deeper sisterhood. And secondly, I'm not outsourcing that from her. There's just one thing there's a few things that spring to mind, but one around like going with the flow. I was always leading, I was always driving, and I just noticed my partner, I'd make some ideas, she'd just be like, sure. And there was something in it which was like, wow. Like a surrender in my body to be able to just like not have to lead, to be able to follow, and just to like wholeheartedly be like going with it. And there's other pieces around self-care and nourishment. A couple of years ago was living with a sister, and like she would have a bath almost every night. And I didn't get it. She was like Epsom salts, lavender, and like reading, candlelight. And I was like, okay. And then like last winter, found myself there, and I was just like, wow, how resourcing is this? So this is, a light feminine or the maiden kind of archetype to be able to really nourish. And it's really supported me in all this work that I'm doing, going from country to country, retreat to retreat. If I didn't have such an integrated self-care, then I wouldn't be able to turn up fully. I'd get exhausted if I kept pushing and pushing. So there's a masculine path of initiation, which is to keep going, like keep pushing. And then there's a feminine of like, when's enough? And it's a kind of collapsing to the knees and a surrender.
Yeah, I love that, and I think it's nearly one of the first questions I always ask when I work with the men is, "What are you doing to support yourself?" And they look at me with big wide eyes. It's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, what do you do to resource? What do you do to recalibrate? What do you do to recharge?" And most guys are just like in that space of doing. Well, I go to the gym or I go for a run. I'm like, yeah, but what else could you be doing? So yeah, I love that point.
Yeah, it's a beautiful dance, which really supports the nourishment.
Mm,
Because otherwise, again, I'm outsourcing. Like, I would look for my partner, or basically, I'm wanting to be mothered. And it was a missing experience for me. I didn't really feel that nurture from my own mother. So the first time I felt this from a partner, I was like, oh wow, this really touches a place in me. Now I could continue relying on her, or I'm like, okay, yeah, I touched a place, and like, how can I give that to myself?
mm,
How can I nourish myself in that way and give myself that mothering? So
absolutely. Otherwise, you're going to look for it from a partner. I think so many people carry this wound of the father that you kind of touched on a little bit. Not being seen or validated, and then yeah, these wounds of the mother wound. I'd like to move into, why do you think, that these kind of soul initiations and rites of passage are so important, particularly at this time right now for men?
thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of men out there who are longing for these rites of passage. And as you mentioned earlier, like not having a mentor. I didn't have a mentor for years. I didn't have anyone who I really looked up to or felt inspired by, and that had a lot to do with also my lens on the world. It's not because there weren't necessarily people out there. I had a lot to work through with my own father stuff. So I'm very grateful to have some mentors now who I can really look up to and who inspire me. So yeah, there's people out there who are longing for this. That we don't have these rites of passage like we used to have in tribal times. A lot of those traditions, which are really important in marking the thresholds that we're crossing, have been dropped. So I know there's a lot of men out there, and for myself, that were lone wolfing it. So I managed to create success in my life, but didn't have anyone to share it with. A lot of loneliness.
Mm,
There's a real epidemic of loneliness because, as we've touched on, if I can't really meet myself and share myself, then I'm never going to really feel connection, even if I'm surrounded by people. And with technology and where it's going, the ease capacity to start scrolling or some sort of connection, but not something soulful or deeply heart connecting. Yeah, where I'm seen on a deep level. And there's a lot of people escaping through addictions, um, and any other kind of coping strategies to take themselves away from themselves. Any distractions. There's seeking of power and control. Again, this is a big thing which I wasn't conscious of, that I was seeking with like chasing that kind of capitalistic blinkered vision of when I get this. It's
yeah, I think that
So go on now.
I was going to say that point is so important around having those teachers and mentors in your life. Men who have, or women who have already been on the journey, on the path, can support you, can signpost you, can see you, witness you. And I love that about a lot of the men's spaces is dropping this competitive nature that is ingrained into us. It's ingrained into women, it's ingrained into men, where we compete with each other, and that creates that kind of disconnection and isolation. And when we can move beyond that, seeing men as our competition, we can really connect deeper and learn from one another, and even learn from teachers and mentors. I think it's really, really an important point to get across, because comparison, it's a thief of joy. So many people are comparing themselves to everybody on social media now. Like you touched on a little bit there, it's so disempowering, isn't it?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's, I mean, where's it going to head if we don't go through these rites of passage? If we don't have the humility to be willing to learn from others, and I'm learning from people in my containers, I'm going to other people's experience. It's just, I know it's a never-ending journey for me, and it excites me as well.
Mm.
I feel very infantile in this world. I know I've got decades ahead, and I'm grateful to have a brother like yourself here to be marching this journey together. I know we'll be maybe 40 years time reflecting on this call here and like looking at us like, look at the little kids giving it a best shot, you know. And it's really important because where are we going to go? And it's the world's waking up, the world's soul is shifting. Like there's so much happening in the collective. There's a deep, deep longing in the human spirit to emerge now, to emerge already.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just happening, it's not just caused from these external factors like the political unrest, the environmental disaster, war, but from a deep longing inside. And the longing to be able to integrate, be more integrated, to be more heart-led, to be more on purpose, to be able to really be of service to something greater than oneself, which will create ripple effects of transformation through friends, family, communities, loved ones. So it's needed, and it's needed now more than ever.
Absolutely. And I think the last few years, what I've really seen is this kind of epidemic of loneliness, especially amongst men, and especially for men who start to wake up a little bit and then think that they have to go abroad and do this work. And now there's amazing men like you here in UK and Europe facilitating these spaces and creating that connection. And I think there's a real yearning for belonging. And you kind of said it there around community. Why do you think community is so important in these times?
I love this thread that you're on, the loneliness. It's really powerful to actually feel the loneliness. A huge pivotal moment in my journey was actually at the end of my time at Haydn. I split up with my partner, and it's the first time I allowed myself to feel the grief. All my life, if grief had come up, I would avoid it. Back then with drinks, drugs, friends, partying, work, connections, anything to avoid the grief. And there was a deep well of grief that had been unexpressed for years, and give myself that space to really drop into it really created a deep transformation in my being. It's the same with loneliness. As I shared earlier, when I stepped out of my old ways of being and my old kind of social construct and all the vices and things that we used to do together to create that bond, I was like, wow, I felt a bit socially inept, which led to some deep loneliness. And allowing myself to feel that is really key. And now I'm grateful to have, and it still comes up, of course, but to have created a community around me in different kind of worlds as well. But the brotherhood, I mean, I meet up with Graham, who's my offsider, who I work with emergence with every week, you know, and it's some of it's like around the gender of what we're doing, but most of it's around how we're doing.
Hmm.
Where are we? What's going on? Because I trust the deeper we can go, then the deeper we can hold space for people to go. And our trainings are a bit different from other trainings. We meet up several times before the training as a team. And again, 80% of that call is giving space to the feminine, let's say, like the emotional, like what's moving in our worlds. How are we feeling? Like what's coming up? Because I trust that that's medicine that we're holding in the core of the training is a mirror for what's moving in the bigger field of the whole training. And yeah, so the belonging piece is huge. And it's interesting, you know, be longing, to be the longing, to really feel that. And, you know, we can spiritual and connecting to source, and I will always feel belonging, or connecting to the earth, and I always feel that. And we're human as well. So to hold that longing of the heart to be held, I think that's a huge thing for men as well. Those initial gates of asking for help, I struggled with that. And I struggled to receive love. When I first stepped into these fields, I mean, people would give me a compliment or a sweet kind of reflection, and my ego immediately would be like, anyone could do that. I could have done better. Wasn't that hard? Whatever these things are, to deflect it. Or like I'm carrying shopping bags and I'm about to walk up some stairs and someone offers to help me. If I can physically do it, I won't accept it. It's like it's a simple act of love. And it's only once I started going in this inquiry, a decade ago, I was like, oh wow, these little subtle things actually make a big difference. Because the bond, when they help you with the shopping up the stairs, the chat, it makes them feel good. They're giving love, they're supporting you, they're doing an act of kindness. They don't need to. You chat, you're there. It's just like, I'm just noticing all the ways I would avoid and deflect. And it was going away from the thing that I really longed for. So I'm actually seeing how I could self-sabotage this longing. And still catching myself every now and again. I've still got my ways. But by bringing myself, it makes me feel close to people.
Oh, beautiful, Robbie. And I love that point, is that, we're learning, unlearning every retreat, every training, every circle, every interaction. It's how can we be softer, more compassionate, more kind with ourselves and all of this. I think we're really the first generation that has the opportunity now for something different, creating a new culture or connecting to something that was potentially already there, but lost through, capitalism or whatever spin you want to put on it. And I got real kind of like a full body kind of shiver there when you talked around the grief, the grief that we almost need to display out on the altar. And there's a lot to be kind of grieving in the world, and to kind of just acknowledge that journey for so many people. It's profoundly big, important work to, be able to go to these spaces and to explore the topics like grief, to explore the topics like shame, to explore the topics like anger. Because that's the real shadow work, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that. And that's our focus at Emergence, is around bringing it into the body. You touched on cognitive behavioral therapy or some other talk therapies, which are amazing. And I really needed that when I started the journey, because there were so many things I hadn't talked around. So many of my egoic protectors had come in and kind of made it okay, or kind of crushed something which really maybe wasn't okay, or at least needed to be worked through. However, sometimes those stories can loop. And by bringing it down into the body and really feeling it, allows, because the body is the storehouse. It's where all the trauma, all the experiences have been remembered, have been held. So by bringing it down into the body and really moving through the body, it's deeply transformative. So rage is a big part of it. You're right. And often rage has got a bad rap because, if it's unintegrated and if it's wild, then it can lead to abuse and violence. And it's not okay. However, the word courage, core being heart, and rage, the courage, the passion of the heart, is what we need in the world as well. If we're going to really stand for something, really going to make a difference, then we need that passion, that rage, that courage from the heart to really deliver something in the world. So it's fire, and it's what we do with it is the important thing. So instead of repressing it, suppressing it, and like wait for it to, like a pressure cooker, just pop out, as an outburst at someone or something because it's not been moved, then utilizing the power of that and giving it direction.
I love that fire kind of has the power to destroy everything around it, or it can transmute. And kind of circling back into the community piece, what do they say? A child who's having challenges will burn down the village to feel its heat, to feel its warmth. So how can we come into these spaces to work with fire, and help transmute these kind of heavier, kind of more challenging emotions and energies?
Yeah, I love that. And it's really, for me, I know the way I learn. I wasn't very good at school. I'm not very good if you kind of tell me things, they kind of go in, go out. If you show me things, maybe I'll remember them. But like when I'm involved, when I'm really doing it, then it changes on a cellular level. It can impact me on a much deeper realm. So we do a lot of, we call them rituals, but it's embodied experiences. So we will kind of set up or frame an experience and we'll go into it together. And this is the beauty about doing it with other men, is because the mirrors, like when I'm authentically expressing and there's someone there who's meeting me in their authentic expression. And this is the power of learning around the shadow of the energies that I'm holding. And also I'm getting a transmission or getting an embodied experience of someone maybe really in their power. They've really landed this piece. I'm like, oh, wow. Kind of as I shared earlier around my partner, I can learn from them. I can drink it in. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. So then it's not the lone wolf figuring it out one person at a time. It's like we've got a collective group intelligence where we can drink from this well of knowledge that we all hold. And some of us are really well evolved in certain parts and some of us in other parts. So like, how can we utilize this, giving everything I've got to the group, and then allowing this evolution to happen between us?
Oh, I absolutely love that point, Robbie. And for myself, as I kind of class myself as like an academic, I love the mind. I can go into all the stuff, but for me and my own journey, and for what I've seen from other guys over the last number of years, is the power of the in-person work. Like, you have to go there. You can't become self-realized or enlightened through Zoom, I don't think. And it's it's so important to embody these teachings and lessons. And over the last number of years, I've found the power of ritual. I've found the power of transmission, of you know doing different practices and initiations, and how when we're there together in the group energy, in the community, that's when the real kind of magic and potency can happen, isn't it?
Yeah, that bit really excites me. I I mean, I can completely relate. The mind is a real gift. And I spend a lot of time there, and it's great figuring stuff out and like exploring. And a lot of my creativity can come through my mind as well. It's like it's really a huge tool. And then when it dominates the landscape, it can become a weapon. So again, like marrying these parts, like listening to my intuition, like what does my body need? What does my body want? And often I'll still override it. My mind will still kind of rule the roost. But again, it's around progression, not perfection. So I'm listening more, I'm feeling more, I'm caring more for this vessel that has got me so far. And yeah, there is a lot that can be. It's a gift. The kind of gift I'd say of COVID is the amount of material now that's online. A lot of people went online and realized, wow, it saves me a lot of money not having to do a retreat center or flying anywhere. It's very convenient. I can do this in my, just a shirt and my shorts underneath, like in my front room. I don't have to go anywhere, and I can just, and yeah, it's easy, but I deeply enjoy the connection, and it's a cellular, atomic connection that when we're in bodies and our bodies near each other, there's so much information that's being taken in, so much from these pulsing beings that we are. So I will never just do things online. It's always got to be in person, despite the longing of my feminine to want to go in my own bath every night. I'm still like, my man nuts in that. Come on, babes, we're doing it. We're getting on a flight. We're going places.
Yeah.
So again, this kind of healthy balance.
No, absolutely. And, I've held so many men's circles over the years online. But there's just a different quality in person. It's instant, it's live, it's not lagging by a Wi-Fi connection. It's real. There's instant feedback. There's, seeing that sparkle in someone's eye, or witnessing a profound process and being able to be held after it. I've had so many calls over the years where people have had emotional releases, and then it's like, I would love to just be there to just, offer that presence and support. And I think that's why the work that you're doing is so important, of creating these containers for people to go deep, to release, to access these parts of themselves, and then explore this connection, belonging, brotherhood, ultimately.
Yeah, and brotherhood's there, and I think the ultimate piece is meeting oneself and bringing my expression forward, or bringing the participant's expression forward in their creativity. Because this is what's coming through a lot of our containers now. To start off with, it was really like, okay, we're in the swamps, we've got to get through this kind of icky, sticky stuff, and that's part of the journey. And now, wow, a deep breath as we can kind of above water and breathing, and like, okay, like what wants to come through? And this is where the mythology, the poetry, the creativity, the music, there's freedom. There's a lot more freedom to tap into deeper levels of expression. The chains are unshackled. And that's what excites me, is what can we create from this place? What's the collaboration of the brotherhood from here? And you touched on it earlier around competition. And competition can be healthy. There is healthy competition. It's like how to support each other to run the best race, not to sink and like push myself to be the best, but to like, yeah, okay, like we are supporting each other to create and to really deepen in our connections. So it's a gift when someone is really breaking open, is having a breakthrough in the field, because the amount of permission it is, and like that's their soul, that's their essence just shining through in that moment, and it can crack a whole field. We've had moments, many moments. I mean, it's every retreat. There's moments where someone comes forth, or there's some experience, a missing experience for someone, and the whole field feels it, and that's truly magic and deeply transformative.
Getting shivers because I've been there, I've witnessed it, watching someone crack, and then, just seeing that reflection in myself, and, just that moment that's so potent. And the celebration that comes with that, and the joy, and yeah, accessing that creativity is wonderful, because we're such creative souls. Is there anything you'd like to weave in before we finish? We're going to the last few moments. Anything alive right now? Maybe take a breath.
The jump thing came up for me, so I guess there's something around that. Yeah, I guess it's just a call out to any of the brothers out there, or any of the sisters as well, sisters that have got partners or friends that are, I get it, it's a bit kind of mysterious, like what are we going to do? How's it going to go? Am I enough? Am I in the right place to do it? All these questions can come up. So you're welcome to reach out to us and like jump on a call. And we say no to quite a few people. It's not like it is for everyone. We know it's not. So if not, we can direct someone to the right place. And a lot of people have this kind of idea that it's for people that are broken, or that are failing in life, or something like that. We have incredible people come through who are leaders in their field, transformational coaches. We have CEOs, we have multimillionaires come through. It's not for just people that are down or out. I mean, you might feel lost, or you might be in an existential crisis. Yes, it's for you. This can give you some guidance and some direction. So I just say, like we've been talking around the mind and the body, trust the body. If there's a pull, like reach out and ask. The mind can come up with 1,001 experiences or excuses not to come. But yeah, trusting the wisdom of the body, the heart, the soul to take you on your path.
Mm. Oh, beautiful, Robbie. I think in life we hear so many calls, and it's really up to us to answer the call at some point. And I really hope men, yes, step forward and find that courage and jump, and it will be beautiful in so many regards. Robbie, what a pleasure, what a conversation. I know for a fact we will have to do a round two at some point. So what's coming up for you? Where can people find your work?
Cool. Thank you. Yeah. And just to definitely have a round two. Look forward to that. And thank you for the conversation, brother. Always a pleasure. I really appreciate yourself. And are you open to a reflection?
I would love a reflection.
I really appreciate your access to your inner boy, that joy that can vibrate through your being, that smile that you hold. Yeah, it's a real gift of innocence and some purity. So thank you for that, brother.
I appreciate it.
So you can find me at Emergence Brotherhood Initiation Journey. We did 7 last year. We were on a big expansive journey, and we were like, yeah, this is amazing. And then I was like, actually, let's refine the offering a bit. So we're having a quieter year. Some people are shocked by this. We've been speaking to a brother around our visioning, and we've been kind of really going back into the nuts and bolts of who we are, because we expanded really quickly over the last 4 years. So we've been going back into refinement, slowing down, which feels great as well. So we're only holding 2 in Europe this year. We have 1 in Canada as well. So Europe, we have Spain on the 10th to the 16th of May. And then we have UK near Glastonbury Spirit Centre, the 2nd to the 8th of August. So you can find me there. I also work with ISTA. Got 4 ISTA containers over this year. The UK is the only one in Europe. The other ones are Northern California, Dominican Republic, and Colombia. So, yeah, I also run monthly temples in London. So I'll give you all the details, and if people are interested, feel free to reach out to me as well if there's any hesitation or you want to understand a little bit more for the mind. I'm here for that. And yeah, just a wholehearted invitation. If any part of you is feeling called to it, then you're very welcome.
Oh, thank you, Robbie. I really appreciate the work you do and what you hold, like I said at the start. And I look forward to welcoming you to Ireland to hopefully co-collaborate something at some point in the future.
Love that.
It'd be great to have you here. I think the men and women will love you and really get a lot from the container and space. And what's coming true for me is the integrity that you have with this work. So thank you so much, Robbie. It's been a deep pleasure.
Thank you, Dara. Till next time, brother.
So thank you, everybody, for listening to today's episode of the podcast. An absolute pleasure to have Robbie Griffin here. Everything will be in the show notes, Robbie's bio, where to find out about the work, the containers that he's facilitating this year. So thank you all for listening. If you made it this far, please give me a like, a follow, a subscribe, share it to the world. It means a lot. And until next week, Gra more Bannock, take care, big love, peace, and talk to you all soon.